Samsung and LG after instant rebate when you switch. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included. See store or metropcs.com for details and terms and conditions.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliate stations coast to coast present
Baseball, Beer, and Barbecue.
The 0-2, swing and a miss, strike three, blew it past it.
Discussing baseball, good drinks, and food.
And you got your honey mustard?
I love mustard.
With Ted Hicks, Todd Vandenberg, and Lee Vowell.
Well, big deal. I am very professional.
Every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on the Happy Hour Network.
You know, speaking of quarterbacks, I listened to Sam Bradford again, and I just almost threw up. I was like, I can't believe Sam Bradford is complaining about making $40 million in the next 2 years, and because he actually has to compete for a position. I'm like, this guy right here definitely sets a bad tone of what a player should be. And I mean, if I was a teammate, it'd be hard for me to play with a guy that doesn't want to compete at the high level. That feels like his position should be solidified without even, putting up the stats or the wins to back that up.
And welcome to Baseball Beer and Barbecue with Ted, Todd, and Lee. Like us on the Facebook, follow us on the Twitter at Baseball Beer BBQ, and read us on our blog site, baseballbeerbbq.com. And get even more info at thehappyhournetwork.com, which is actually up for renewal in about 3 weeks. Just FYI. We will talk in just a bit with Tomas Murphy of Sports Infusion, a former Cuban middleweight boxer, and a little bit later with Antwan Staley of Palm Beach Post and Athlon Sports. And we will talk a lot of baseball today, so be prepared for that. Ted, where else can you hear us?
As always, you can hear us at NGSC Sports, I-95 Sports, Back Sports Page, RS Sports Radio, XRP, iHeart, iTunes, Arena Sports Network, and Todd?
Ted, that was extremely professional and communicated with gusto. So I cannot live up to that. So I'll just say we really like CJ Computers NC. We like them so much. We want you to go to them for all your computer needs. It is 919-653-8496. CJ Computers on the Twitter. CJ Computer Repair. They fix things. I'm dramatically pausing to make Lee angry.
I'm just like, So, Ted, how do we sound? Do we sound okay? We sound clear?
You sound great.
Okay. Because you sound a little bit
wonderful.
Like oh, thank you. Thank you. It's always nice to hear good things. So I don't think there's... Thanks. So I don't think there... Are you going to interrupt me again?
Delicious.
Okay, delicious. Awesome. This could go on for just several minutes, I think, at this point. Is there anything else you want to say? No?
No.
Because I could mute you, and I could also say this.
You will listen to every damn word I have to say!
But, Ted, I believe that we have Murph on the line. And would you like to bring... Or Todd, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong outline. I'm looking at tomorrow's outline when we don't have a show. So, Todd, would you like to bring on our fabulous guest?
For once, Lee is drunker than I am. At this time, we would like to welcome Thomas Murphy, former Cuban middleweight boxer, record of 57-2, possible Donald Trump VP candidate. Actually, he does write for Sports Infusion. He's an editor at ProFootballCentral.com. Former co-host of the Nikki X Happy Hour, which is no longer in existence, which is why he's the former co-host, because no one's a co-host of it anymore. And the big, angry green man, Murph. How are you? Thanks for being on.
How are we, guys? I'm great. Just called in a little early to listen to the show because, it works better that way with Blog Talk Radio.
well, we honestly, we kind of figured people could listen to us for 10 minutes or they could actually listen to somebody who is of quality. So we thought, let's just go ahead and bring Murph on.
Oh, okay. So you want to put me back on mute. You got another guest. Great.
Oh, no. But I will say Ted is on two lines, so it's and we've pointed this out before, but it's almost like the foghorn leghorn thing where the little chicken says, "Oh no, you're over there," and the foghorn leghorn is afraid to check underneath the house because he might actually be in there. I don't know how Ted is on two lines, but he is.
Ted's always like that.
I say.
Exactly. So before we get to
run along, boy, you bother me.
Before we get to baseball.
Oh,
man.
Football good question. To be here, man. Good to get the band back together, as I said last night.
Yes, it is.
Fantastic.
So let's talk football briefly, and then we'll move on to the real sport. What did you think about the Patriots draft?
I was less than enthusiastic over it. Bill's going to do what Bill's going to do. He's going to target guys that he wants and take them when he wants them. Obviously, he didn't see a tackle at any point in time in the draft where it would make sense to take one, hence taking another guard. We now have more guards than Alcatraz ever did at its peak on the roster. And so that's what we're going to do. We're just going to draft guards and safeties and just play that way. No running backs, no tackles. We'll take obscure wide receivers in later rounds, and then I wasn't thrilled. I really wasn't thrilled with it. But yet again, even after that, and with the terrible, awful injustice that Tom Brady continues to go through, the Patriots are the favorites to win the Super Bowl.
That's true.
I've seen several reports saying that two of the worst 5 teams as far as upgrading their offseason were the Bills and the Jets. And and my lovely Dolphins, of course, are perennial winners of the 8-8 season if they're lucky. So, no surprise there.
There were teams that I thought did much better. I thought the Dolphins did an amazing job. I really liked the work that they did. The Bills, I also enjoyed what they did. They addressed a lot of needs. It was a very unsexy draft. It really was. The way things broke down, Miami just couldn't pass on Tunsil. They just couldn't do it, and I don't blame them.
Either.
And I liked Byron Maxwell, and the Kiko Alonso trade that they made prior to the draft was really good. I don't think a lot of people are giving that enough publicity. They basically stole those guys, and they picked up a running back that a lot of people don't know about, somebody that I had my eye on in Kenyon Drake. I think this kid is fantastic. I really do. I love this kid's workouts. I loved his tape a lot. That was a real steal at I forget where it was. In the 70s, I think they grabbed him. I forget what, but I had him going much earlier than that. The Pats, I got to give them a C+ draft. I'll be wrong in the long run. Shaq Lawson was somebody that I wanted them to pick, but I wanted them to pick him in the third round. Jones was a good pick. Jonathan Williams was a decent pick. But I mean, really, it's oh my. Wait, I still got the Bills in my head. What the hell am I doing? Cyrus Jones was a great pick. Joe Thuney, I was scratching my head over. Brissett, just shoot me. Just please shoot me. I don't get it. I can understand taking another quarterback. Bill always takes a quarterback just to see what happens. But I don't know why they did that there. I searched through the dark internet because I couldn't find any film of him on the regular internet. So I had to go really freaking deep into the dark internet, through places I don't want to talk about to just find tape of Jacoby Brissett actually completing passes, and it was scary. It was definitely scary. But that was good. The Jets did well. Hackenberg, I think, is going to be a good quarterback at some point in time. It's not going to be this year because his growth was stunted down at Penn State. Really, if you go back and you look at this kid in high school and his freshman year in college, it looked like something really special was going to happen. But then he just got thrown into that blender that is Penn State, and he regretted ever going there from that point on. And you could see it in his play and in his body mechanics through, just as a person, not even as a quarterback. So yeah, I thought that was terrible. They better get Ryan Fitzpatrick signed to whatever the hell he wants. If there hasn't been a luckier person on the planet than Ryan Fitzpatrick, I don't know who it is.
Yeah. No kidding.
So that was good. They had a decent draft, and that basically takes care of the AFC East, unless you guys want to swing around through the rest of the NFL.
No, we want to talk about a real sport. So
thank you.
The NFL.
Thank you so much.
So what's been the biggest?
Oh,
surprise
you don't know, guys.
baseball?
I don't get to talk baseball with people much anymore.
Well, that's right.
What's
been the biggest surprise of the season so far for you, overall?
The complete and utter dominance of the Houston Astros. I don't know how this team has fallen apart the way they have. That was sarcasm, folks out there. I picked them to make the playoffs last year. I thought they were on the upswing. They made a couple of deals that might have, set them back a bit, but I didn't think it would be this. I really didn't think it would be this. That's my biggest surprise. I'm not going to, say that I'm surprised by the Cubs. We knew what they were going to do. I didn't think they'd jump out this quick. And yeah, I've got to say, the Red Sox being, 8 games over 500 right now is a pleasant surprise.
It is indeed
Murph,
a surprise.
Murph.
Yes, sir.
It's so good to talk to you again.
You
as
too,
you know,
Ted.
I
hate when Ted skulks in the background like that, man. It's scary. It's like the shadow. The shadow knows. What's up, bud?
I usually tweet you of pictures of every time I see your name, Murph, somewhere, just to let you know the love is still there.
The love is there, and I appreciate that.
So I'm going to talk about, I know you were talking about football and the Patriots and everything like that. I guess we got to talk Sox. And before the season, Lee picked Mookie Betts to be the AL MVP.
Yep.
But Jackie Bradley Jr. has a 25-game hitting streak. Boston,
Yes, he does.
Is doing well. Who's been their best player?
Without a doubt, Jackie's been their best positional player, but you've got to tip your hat to David Ortiz, who, as I tweeted out this morning, has found a pool full of cocoons and swims in it daily. I think he keeps it in the locker room somewhere, and he takes a dip in it every afternoon, comes out and smacks another home run. It's beautiful to watch David go out this way. I don't want to say it's shocking, but the question now is if he can do it for the entire season. And I'm sorry, I knew JBJ was going to do this. I've been saying it for 3 years. It's amazing what a kid can do when he actually gets regular playing time, and he's not buried 7th in the batting order with no protection behind him. He's got some protection with Mookie when he's in the 9 slot and Mookie's batting leadoff, so that helps a lot. But his glove has never been a question. I've said for 2 years now that it's the best glove I have ever seen, ever. It's a place where triples go to die. The bat, it's a little surprising. I was thinking 260, 280, 10 home runs, but he's about to eclipse that right now. And this hitting streak is just unreal. It's a lot of fun, and I'm glad that Jackie is able to actually showcase the talent that everybody said that he had, the things that he showed when he was in college and in the lower levels of the minors. And nobody, I'm sorry, I hate to toot my own horn, but I was the only one sans me, said that he could do this and himself, and he's gone out and proved everybody but me wrong. Now we can get on to all the things I was wrong about.
So we have to talk about the Mercurial, David J. Price. He's 6-1, but has a 5.53 ERA. How can it be?
Part of it, I think, was trying to live up to the contract and this market. A lot of people said that it wasn't going to be any different for David at all. He's pitched in big markets before. He's pitched in big situations before. He's signed big deals, nothing like this before. But and that kind of money wouldn't affect him. It affects everybody. This market affects everybody. When you're used to playing in front of 12,000, 14,000 on day 3 of the season, and now you're sitting there and there's 47,000 every night, whether you're on the road or at home. It's different, and you feel like you have to live up to a standard. You have to be the ace, and that takes something out. And it's also, there was some mechanics. Dustin Pedroia noticed something in his mechanics that had changed over the past year or two. And he worked on it, and his velocity is back up a little bit. We're hitting 95, 96 again on the gun, and he's getting people out. The hard thing is, this is a man who had that ERA and yet was still striking people out at a record pace, leading the AL for a while there. And that goes to my original point where he felt that, I'm the ace, I've got to strike everybody. Stop striking people out. Strikeouts are fascist. Throw some ground balls. He's throwing more ground balls and, getting more double plays, and things have worked out the past couple of starts for him. They've been a lot better.
And as a Dodger fan, I have to disagree, because when Clayton Kershaw pitches, that's the only time the Dodgers win, and he has to strike out everybody for them to win. So I'm joking, obviously. But
yes.
Is there any chance this team, the Red Sox isn't successful for the foreseeable future due to the farm system and the young talent currently on the team?
Yeah, there is. If you folks haven't noticed, the Red Sox have played a lot of home games. The second half of the season, they are going to be on the road for, I'm going to say 70% of the time. And yeah, that's going to catch up to young kids who haven't been through this before. When you're living out of a suitcase and packing up every 3 days to go to another city, yeah, that's going to happen. It's also going to have an effect on Poppy, because he's not going to have that hot tub full of cocoons to dip into every other day. He's going to need his rest. I'm expecting them to come back to earth a little bit. Jackie Bradley Jr., as much as I pump his tires, is not going to do this all year long. I expect Mookie to hit a little better. And when things get tough, I want to see how Hanley reacts. Right now, he's living the good life. He's happy. We're winning, and he's playing first base, so he's a bigger part of the defense at all times and bigger part of the team at all times, and he's hitting well. So there could be there could be stretches where you're going to go 4-6 and 5-5, and I want to see how these young kids react to that. But that was a good question.
Any chance that Jackie Bradley Jr. really hates Joe DiMaggio and he's just trying to mirror Joe DiMaggio's hit streak at this point? Maybe just say, I really hate Joe DiMaggio. I'm going to do better than him.
Why not? I hate Joe DiMaggio. Joe DiMaggio makes me ill. I can't stand Joe DiMaggio. I think he was a prick. and I hope he does, but it's not going to happen. Two different centuries. That's the way, the way things are now. Joe DiMaggio saw the same pitcher for 3 at-bats in every single game, or 4 at-bats in every single game. You didn't see left-handed specialists coming in. You didn't see right-handed specialists coming in. You didn't see closers coming in throwing 90 miles an hour. It's a record that will never be broken, and just another reason for me to hate Joe DiMaggio. The only reason that I even speak his name is because his brother Dom is one of the greatest human beings that ever walked the face of the earth.
That's awesome. Arthur Miller also hated Joe DiMaggio. So moving away from the Red Sox just a bit, what do you think about MLB's plans to change the intentional walk and the strike zone? You think there's any merit to that whatsoever, and do you think it'll change the game at all?
Yeah, I do. I think it'll change the game. I don't like it. I don't want to get on my traditionalist horse, but I mean, every once in a while, when you're intentionally walking someone, a ball gets away. And if there's somebody on base, that player moves up. I don't like this. I don't like it at all. The beautiful thing about baseball is how linear it is. I don't like these time clocks. I don't like the changes to the rules. I can't stand replay. If you want the game to move along quicker, the only thing that should be replayed are home runs and a fair or foul ball. Part of the beauty of baseball is the fact that it's human. It is the most human of all sports, and when you make these kind of changes, then it ceases to be human, and we can just go back all the way to the institution of interleague play and get rid of that, and every rule change that they've made from that point to this point, we can just stop right now. Wow, I need a drink. Really need a drink. But yeah, I don't like the idea of changing these things. I like the way it is. If baseball is too long or boring for you, then play with your phone. Just go play with your phone.
It's funny you brought up long, because it is a long season. But it's like, if you're really a fan of a team, like I know you are, the Red Sox, and Ted is of the Mets, and Todd of the Tigers. But it's more like a matter of every day you're checking that score, and it's 162 games. But part of you kind of still you die a little bit when your team wins or loses, and then if your team wins, it's like, oh, it's a good day. But there's 162 of them, so that's another thing that makes baseball so great, right?
That's it. There's always tomorrow. One game does not change a season, and what we're going to do is, we're going to regroup, and hopefully Clay Buchholz isn't pitching tomorrow, and life is rosy. Get a whole lot of rosy out there.
What is it with Buchholz, though? Because the guy, raw talent, he's got a bunch of it. But is it all in his head, or is it just mechanics?
It is. He's a mental case. He's the biggest mental case I've seen since Oil Can Boyd, minus the cocaine. And great clothes. Take that, Huggy Bear. Anybody who remembers Dennis Oil Can Boyd knows that he was the fashion plate of Boston for his brief stint here. It is. As soon as somebody gets on, something, goes haywire in his brain work. He wakes up in the morning. If he's facing the wrong way, you could be in for big trouble. It's awful. It really is, because you're right. The talent is so overwhelming, because you see it in these far too brief and far too in between stints of how good he can be on a pitching mound, and it just goes haywire as soon as the slightest thing goes wrong. And like I said, it could be waking up, in the wrong position. It doesn't even have to be men on base. It could be, his shoes were not, put in the locker room by a locker room attendant at a specific time, and that just screws up his entire day. And there you go again. The thing that gets me about it is every time he does go out and throw poorly, it was just one pitch. I only threw one bad pitch. Yeah, well, your one bad pitch, there were 3 guys on already. How did they get there? Please tell me, because 2 of them had walked. And, find a strike zone, pound it, and trust yourself. This guy throws 5 pitches. Pick 3 pitches and use them, please. Find out what's working in the bullpen, take it to the mound, and use them. Stop trying to overthink this game. Thinking only hurts the ball club.
Well, isn't there anything the pitching coach or manager can do to get this guy to just limit his pitches?
Oh, you mean our great manager, the guru pitching coach? Honestly, I can't. I don't understand why he can't. I know I could. You know, I'd sit there and I'd call pitches from the dugout for him. This is what you're going to throw. And if you don't, well, then guess what? You're not going to make your next start. I'll sit you down. You know, use your fastball, use your cutter, and use your changeup, and that's it. I do it with Little League kids, for Christ's sakes. Butchie throws 4 pitches. No, this is what you're going to throw today because this is what was working in the in warm-ups. I don't know why Clay Buchholz is something special, and Big John Farrell, the pitching guru that he is, can't get that through his head.
Yeah, that's a shame. So, Murph, it's always great to have you on, whether it's talking football, talking baseball. You're really knowledgeable, very funny. We always enjoy having you on. We enjoyed you being a co-host with us when the now defunct Nikki X Happy Hour was on. So, will you let people know, other than, of course, Donald Trump, maybe possible VP candidate? I mean, it makes sense, right?
Not happening. Not gonna do it. Nope, not gonna do it.
And let people know where you can be found.
Sure, you guys can, folks, you can follow me at TMurph207. Please give me grief for everything that I said today on this show right there. You can check me out at thesportsinfusion.net. I am a columnist there, and of course at profootballcentral.com. You can check out all my football writings there. Guys, I appreciate the time. It's always fun. Give me a ring any day, and I'll be here for you. Ted, it was great. Stop skulking in the background. Come up here in the front, bud. You look good. You look good.
All right, Murph.
All right, fellas.
Enjoy your Saturday.
Thanks again, Murph.
Anytime. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Murph brought up DiMaggio, and I just happened to, I was reading Tim Kirchin's book, one of his baseball books, and he mentioned a weird stat about DiMaggio that Eric Karros had like twice as many stolen bases in his career as DiMaggio, which is like insane. However, there are some much more interesting people. Did you know that Dave Kingman had almost 3 times as many stolen bases as DiMaggio? DiMaggio had 30 stolen bases in his career.
Ooh.
Here are some other people who had more stolen bases in their career than the extreme fleet-footed, amazing base runner
Joltin' Joe.
Rob Deere had 43. Greg Luzinski had 37. Pete Incaviglia had 33. Frank Thomas had 32 stolen bases.
Which Frank Thomas?
The Big Hurt.
Okay.
The Big Hurt, who basically just trotted around the bases after he smacked another home run. I mean, oh my God. Here are 2 well-known names who actually did not steal as many bases as Joe DiMaggio. Lance Parrish, the concrete-booted catcher for the Tigers, had 28.
Oh, that Lance Parrish. I was thinking the third baseman for the Expos.
Larry.
That was Larry Parrish?
That was Larry. Lance is,
Lance.
Lance is the catcher. And Willie McCovey, stretch, who had awful legs, terrible knees, he had 26. So
still had 521 home runs or something like that, right?
Yeah, which is why he had all the home runs, because it's easy to walk the bases. Pete Incaviglia had more stolen bases than. This is one of the reasons I love baseball.
Incaviglia's speed was always overrated, underrated, I should say. Yeah.
Rob, who is anything but a deer.
Underrated speed, obviously. I mean, that's what you're saying, basically,
exactly.
Right?
What an amazingly weird game baseball is, because that's how different the game was. In the 50s, it's like, nah, you ain't stealing a base.
Well,
40s.
Yeah, talking about
30s.
Weird things. Arietta yesterday, of course, now the Cubs have won 22 straight of his starts. He hasn't won all those starts, but he hasn't lost, obviously, which is third best in Major League Baseball history. Guess who has the longest stretch of wins by his team on his starts consecutively in Major League Baseball history?
You would think it would be someone cool like Walter Johnson, but it's probably, I don't know, Mickey Lilich. No, it won't be Mickey Lilich. He's also good.
He is. Any guess, Ted? And this happened really like 2010 to 2012.
Clay Buchholz.
Clayton Kershaw.
Well be.
Clayton Kershaw, of course.
It's Chris Medlin. of the Braves.
No disrespect to Chris Medlin, but how random is that?
Exactly. Yeah, 23 straight consecutive starts that his team won when he started the game. 23. 2010 to 2012, Chris Medlin of the Braves.
The unstoppable.
The unstoppable, yes. The unsinkable Chris Medlin. And it's
which, a shout out to Kenny Mayne. I was watching SportsCenter late last night, and Nick McCarkis, of all people, finally hits a home run. First home run of the season. Kenny Mayne's call is, you cannot understand his power. No, I'm sorry. His power is beyond your understanding.
It is.
Which is much better. Your power is beyond your understanding.
When Jose Altuve has 15 home runs and this guy is bigger and has...
Kenny Mayne is still awesome.
He is. Ted, tell us about our next guest.
I have the pleasure of introducing our next guest. I'd like to welcome Antwan Staley to Baseball Beer and BBQ. Antwan writes for Athlon Sports in the Palm Beach. He found on Twitter at Antwan Staley. We call him Twan. So, Twan, thanks for being on with us.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. So Twan, before we get into baseball, your thoughts on Tar Heels basketball season and the fact that they still have a loaded roster next year.
What was that? Like, what was you asking again? Can you repeat that?
Oh, I said your thoughts on Tar Heels basketball season and the fact that they still have a loaded roster for next year.
Well, I guess it's disappointing the way it finished, but at the same time, Villanova, they got hot at the right time, and it was a great game. It was a great classic game. So, but North Carolina, they got Justin Jackson coming back in a few parts, but yeah, without I don't expect them to win the ACC next year. Duke, this is going to be the year if they're going to win the championship. Duke is coming; they're going to be loaded. They got a lot of great recruits. Harry Giles is one of their better recruits, and of course they got Grayson Allen coming back. So they'll be the favorites to win it all next year. So we'll see how far North Carolina can go. But if they were going to win it, this was the year to do it.
Gotcha. So we got to talk about Danny Thompson's favorite team and player, and also I believe one of Lee's favorite teams. How impressed are you by the fact that the Cavs they started off the postseason 10-0, or does that mean that the Eastern Conference just really sucks?
Yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, it's not Cleveland's fault. They're doing exactly what they have to do. They're winning games, and they're winning by double digits. So they're not going to be judged until the NBA Finals. We knew that coming in anyway. So, but it's not their fault that the rest of the conference is not very good, and they're so much head and shoulders above everybody else. They're playing as well as they had. They're playing better than what they were last year. They're a much better team, deeper team. They're also hitting three-pointers at a great rate, even better than Golden State, to be honest with you. You can believe that. So we're going to judge them depending on how they play against Oklahoma City or Golden State, whoever they play in the finals, because obviously they're gonna wrap this thing up pretty quick. I expect the series to be over by Monday.
Yeah, and before we jump to baseball, I just want to say, Twan, too, that it's nice to see that Cleveland has come around and now they're playing like the team everyone thought they would be even a couple of years ago. So, however, we will move on to baseball. Rougned Odor gets 8 games for leveling Jose Bautista, although Bautista did not drop to the turf, so props to him. Is that enough games? And did Bautista have it coming?
8 is fine. I mean, 8 is probably what I expected, to be honest with you. I expected somewhere between peeling it, so we'll see if if it stays at 8, which they may knock it down 1 or 2. I thought Bautista probably should have spent a few more games too, because one, he deliberately tried to take out Odor with the slide, and I just felt like he could have got at least 2 or 3 games, to be honest with you. And did he have it coming? Yeah, I mean, we knew it was gonna come. We knew something was gonna happen. You're not gonna just do the backflip and not have any repercussions from it. People have to understand that. You're gonna show off. You're gonna showboat. That's baseball. It's gonna happen. So I don't have necessarily a problem with it, especially the fact that Odor punched him, and I probably would have did the same thing if somebody would have tried to take me out illegally with that slide as well. So I'm not endorsing violence, but Yeah, you had it coming when you tried to take out Odor.
I agree with you, and I'm glad, by the way, that you have not tried to take anybody out and punch their lights out, because then Palm Beach Post wouldn't have your services for 8 games.
Well, not in a while. No, I wouldn't have. I haven't done that in a long time.
Just a quick follow-up, though. Do you think, because Bautista is, he's kind of like, yeah, okay, I get it. But do you think his criticism is valid that they were cowards, that they waited until the last time they see him during the regular season? Shouldn't they have sent the message his first at-bat of their series?
Probably so, yeah. I would think. They've already played, like you said, they probably played there 2 times this year. So I'm surprised that they waited as long as what they did. But, yeah, I understand that beef and criticism as well. I know John Gibbons has said the same thing as well. So, yeah, I get it. I get it from that standpoint. But they ended up having to do what they had to do. And Matt Bush, the guy who has a story of his own, and he felt like he needed to take it upon his own hands and try to win over the clubhouse. So he went and did what he had to do, and I'm sure the Rangers players appreciate him doing that.
Yeah, it is an interesting story. This guy who's been in the minors for like 10,000 years, and he's the guy who.
Yeah, he was in jail, and he's been through a lot.
Yeah, he has. And hopefully for his story, he works out and stays. Moving on from the conflagration, which was the dust-up, which was personally I think is great for baseball. Another thing great for baseball, Chris Sale, he's 9-0, 1.58 ERA, one of only 2 pitchers in the MLB to win the first 9 starts with an ERA under 2. Sal Magley back in 1952, so it's been a while since that's happened. Okay, we got a lot of dominant pitchers right now. We got Sale, we got Arrieta, Kershaw. Is this just kind of the way baseball ebbs and flows, or is there more going on? Is there something changing about the game itself?
I don't know if it's anything as far as the game. I just think Chris Sale he's always been a good pitcher. He's just having a tremendous start, and the White Sox are really obviously benefiting from that. They're in first place, despite the fact they have lost 7 out of their last 10 and kind of come back down the earth for a little bit. But I just always thought he was a really great pitcher. I just thought a lot of people didn't really take notice of him because the White Sox, quite frankly, hadn't been very good in a long time. So I just think he's having one of those tremendous starts along with Arrieta. He's like the best 2 pitchers in the game right now are really in Chicago, at least right now this year. So I don't know if it's anything as far as baseball changing as opposed to just Chris Sale is just really that good.
So answer this question. Clay Buchholz of the Red Sox is simply the best Red Sox pitcher ever, or the best I'm just kidding. So seriously, beyond Buchholz, how have the Red Sox managed to be near first place at this point in the season when David Price is 6-1 with a +5 ERA?
Offense. I mean, it's that simple. They've been out hitting everybody. They've hit the long ball. Jackley Bradley Jr. is having just a tremendous start. Has a 25-game hitting streak right now. They're just out slugging everybody, and they're in second place to the Orioles right now. But that's what they're gonna have to do. Obviously, this pitching staff is very questionable. Even if David Price was pitching well, they still have a lot of questions on that staff, and I'm curious to see how long they can hit. They're gonna have to sustain it if they want to at least compete for a wild card spot, because there's a lot of questions on that pitching staff. And as much as I don't like, I'm a Red Sox fan. Much as I don't like Clay Buchholz being in a starting rotation, they really don't have much of a choice right now, considering some of the young guys aren't necessarily ready for the rotation. So they're gonna have to just score about 6 or 7 runs a game in order to be competitive in the AL East.
Yeah, it's funny. AL East is, the Blue Jays won it last year and they scored a ton of runs, and their pitching wasn't necessarily that good. They stayed in it all season, so it's a winnable formula in the AL East at this point.
Yeah, the only thing is Baltimore has better starting pitching, and they have their offenses. Well, they might not have been as hot as the Red Sox, but they have a great offense as well, and they like to hit a lot of home runs. So that's the only thing about that, because the Orioles, their starting pitching is very solid, and they have the offense to back it up.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to react to the fact that you just said the Orioles have the better pitching staff of the Red Sox. That was It was shocking development. So
it's
Giancarlo
true.
Stanton, yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, Giancarlo Stanton's contract might make him untradeable, but Jose Fernandez might be a great pick up for a contender in July. What do you see the Marlins doing with him?
I think they're going to keep him from now. Long as they're winning games, I don't see them trade them for a number of different reasons. First of all, whenever he pitches, he gets so many people in the ballpark, and as most people know, South Florida has a lot of it's a big Latin community, and they love to see Jose pitch whenever he comes to the mound. So as long as they're winning, which they are, they're doing a solid job right now. I don't see them trading him, and they don't have to. They still have his rights for a few more years. So I don't, unless it's like a very sweet deal one of the teams are offering, I don't see them trading him. Not this year. Maybe next year and a couple more years where they have to get rid of him because they know he's going to leave. But I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon.
Hey, Twan, what team has outperformed what you expected in the early season so far?
Hey, that's easy. You have to go with the Phillies.
Yeah,
the Phillies, nobody, I don't think anybody, and I don't know if they're going to keep it up, but nobody expected them to be where they are right now, close to the like right there with the Nationals in the NL East, and their pitching they have good young pitching. They don't necessarily have the offense, but anytime you have good starting young pitching, that's going to keep you in games. Vince Vasquez is the outstanding job, and I like the direction they're going in. I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep it up, but I think they're definitely not as bad as I thought they were going to be. They're not Braves bad, and that's really making that division very interesting. You got 4 teams that are really close to each other in that whole division, other than the Braves. So I think the Phillies could definitely make it interesting. But to answer your question, that'd be the team that I have to look at right now.
A pretty fun question here. Which baseball stadium would you most like to see that you haven't gone to yet?
I probably have to say I've been to a few of them. Off the top of my head, I probably have to say Seiko Field.
Okay.
I've never been to Seiko, so and it looks like a very unique and scenic ballpark. So that's probably
it's beautiful.
That's probably the first place that would come to mind.
As a Seahawk and a Mariners fan, I will say it's a beautiful stadium downtown Seattle. You should definitely go see it.
Yeah. Like I always wanted to get there. Like I've been to AT&T, I've been to PNC, I've been to Fenway, I've been to Wrigley. I've been to the New Yankee. I went to the old Yankee Stadium too. I've been to quite a few of them, but I just never got out that way to go to Seiko.
Gotcha. Twan, we want to thank you for being on. Tell us where you can be found everywhere.
Well, you can just find me on Twitter. That's probably the best place to link up to Antwan Staley, and you can just find all my work there.
Okay. Gotcha. Want to thanks again for being on with us. Hope to have you on very shortly.
All right, y'all take care.
All right, thanks Twan.
Again.
So, we had 2 guests on today, both excellent as we expected, and have been, the whole time we've ever had them on.
So you're saying this is the time when everyone can tune out because now it's just us.
Now it's the time to. Hey, one thing I will say, my favorite Seahawk is Michael Bennett. I like that he is a really good interview. He's also an extremely productive player, especially for an undrafted guy, and he uses his mind, he uses his skill, but he was able to not just take his raw talent and be like, I'm going to have a position to start because of my raw talent. Although I think he has a personal hatred for Sam Bradford. But I think he had some excellent points that we played early in the show. I'm going to replay right now. Just about what he thinks a lot of pros how they should be held accountable. And I think there's a lot of other pros who aren't saying the same thing, but a lot of people think it. And again, this is Michael Bennett's comment on Sam Bradford.
Speaking of quarterbacks, I listened to Sam Bradford again, and I just almost threw up. I was like, I can't believe Sam Bradford is complaining about making $40 million in the next 2 years, and because he actually has to compete for a position. I'm like this guy, man. This guy right here definitely sets a bad tone of what a player should be. And I mean, if I was a teammate, it'd be hard for me to play with a guy that doesn't want to compete at the high level. That feels like his position should be solidified without even, putting up the stats or the wins to back that up.
So, yeah, I mean, Michael Bennett's point is it's about privilege, and you shouldn't feel privileged because you're playing a professional sport. And we actually hit on this a little bit last week. Mm-hmm. And Sam Bradford, he's making a ton of money whether he plays or not. But I think the one thing that separates not just the Seahawks, but any of the Patriots for that matter, those guys don't just show up and be like, I guess we're pretty good. They're going to separate themselves by the will to win and the will to compete even on their own team.
Yeah.
And I think what he says is very legitimate as far as what a professional athlete, because, we're not professional athletes. The vast majority of us obviously are not professional athletes, but what we want from our professional athletes is not to feel privileged, but to actually go out there and compete and play hard, because that's what we want to see.
I can't believe Bradford was stupid enough to come out and go public with this. I can see behind the scenes, have your agent bitch about it and whine to the team. I mean, I can see that if you're a moron. But to come out, especially in Philadelphia, and say, whoa, it's like, you guaranteed me this money, but now I'm going to cry because you brought in a rookie. It's like, are you such a weak-ass player? You don't have the confidence in yourself. You can beat out a freaking rookie who everyone says isn't ready this year anyway. What kind of a leader are you?
He's
like,
not.
I should be the winner. Right?
He's not one.
You haven't played worth a crap in your whole career, basically, Bradford. You're a waste of how much money has the guy made?
Yeah. Well,
it's ridiculous the amount of money this guy has made, and for him to be such a punk and cry about it and say, I need to be traded. Who wants you? Who wants a quarterback who's afraid of a damn rookie? It's
right. But it's even just beyond Bradford, the Bradford issue. It goes to a lot of athletes.
Oh, it does.
Right?
It does. It does.
Bradford has affluenza, like that little bastard who got away with murder.
The level of entitlement, number one, and showing that you're an elitist because you feel like you shouldn't have to do something. No, you got to go out there and compete. You should have to go out there and compete. And you're right, Bennett hit it dead on. How dare you complain after you signed this deal on top of the previous deal that you signed when you came in as a rookie and you were, you
guaranteed
underperformed.
$50 million, I think.
Yeah.
Guaranteed, and your knees are, you don't want to say his knees are shot because you don't want to speak ill of anyone, but come on. He's one hit away from being on, someone's analyst on their Sunday morning show.
And what are you telling the team when you say, I shouldn't have to compete, I've proven myself? Basically, you're saying, I should be the quarterback regardless of who the best player is. You're telling them you should be the quarterback even if the other guy's better than me. Mm-hmm. So you're putting yourself above the team. Yeah. He's more important than wins. It's like, screw you, Brad.
And that whole interview can be heard on 710 ESPN Seattle. And Todd, the point you just brought up is they go on, and Bennett speaks more, embellishes on that.
I agree.
That's
Bennett's
the
awesome.
exact point.
He is awesome. He's a great player.
I will say the follow-up from Brock Heward, the interesting word here is sometimes.
Is there any quarterback you like?
Sometimes I like Russell Wilson.
Sometimes.
That's
a defensive lineman. He's
exactly.
Kind of joking, obviously. He's a team first guy. I mean, is he going to show up at OTAs? Probably not. But does he have to? Really? He'll show up in training camp, and that's all that matters. And he'll. The thing about Bennett versus Bradford is the guy's going to give 100% during the games and practice, and because he knows, he's not in a privileged position. It's not like he's a genetic freak who, I'm going to play no matter what. He's always had to work at it, and I think that's the difference between him and a number one pick like Bradford, is the fact that he's had to work on it. So let's move on to other baseball stuff. Tim Lincecum signs with the Angels as a starter. That was the key part of that deal.
Yeah.
The Mariners had some. He's from the Seattle area, so there was some issue as far as whether they might want to bring him back, but they didn't want to bring him back as a starter. Todd, how much faith do you have, if you're an Angels fan, which you're not, but if you're an Angels fan, in Tim Lincecum being a starter.
I like the fact that at least they're trying. I mean, their rotations are wreck. They need help badly, obviously, because they're reaching out to Lincecum. For Lincecum's sake, and just for baseball's sake, it would be great if he goes out and he wins 15 games for him. I mean, that would be what a fantastic story. And, of course, at this point in the season, 15 games, I mean, if he'd been there from day one, that's a 20-game winner. So hardly likely. And really, the odds are he won't be with the team in August, sadly. But, because of the injuries. But I've always liked Lincecum. I mean, obviously, that crazy-ass delivery has caught up with him, obviously, a few years ago. But, yeah, it'd be a terrific story if he comes through and pitches well and helps them move towards the playoffs. I would say, though, if you're banking on Tim Lincecum to get you into the playoffs, you got a lot of problems.
Yeah, my concern with it is that it's Lincecum, and he was pitching in a pitcher's ballpark with the Giants, a team built to win with pitching.
Right.
And he had problems with control and injury, but now he's going to the Angels, which is a team that's not necessarily built to win with pitching or to win with anything that I can figure out, to be honest, except for Mike Trout. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in the American League when people are willing to take pitches more than they are in the National, because you don't have the pitcher following you.
Well,
so
even just in the past few years, people are taking a lot more pitches than they have been, which is
that's true.
Why baseball's looking at changing the strike zone and everything else, because games are longer.
Right.
It's because
right.
more pitches, even though they're striking out.
How about the fact that he could be used to just chew up some innings because it's a long season?
Yeah, that's a thing, but the Angels need a starter. And I think that the reason he didn't want to go to – it was funny because he didn't really get a lot of play in the offseason. They held – his agent must be the best agent in the world, because he was like, we're going to hold tryouts for other teams to come see this guy, even though he didn't get an offer in the – if he was really worth, being a starter in the Major League Baseball, this guy would have gotten an offer besides just having, a tryout, whatever. Because there's a lot of teams that need a starter, but the Angels – decided to bite because it got this point in the season, and they're thinking we're struggling. We need some kind of help.
Plus, they have a bank vault that helps too.
They have a bank vault, yeah. And it's still a small contract. But I know the Mariners specifically, since I have, kind of a little bit of inside knowledge with the Mariners, they didn't want to bring him on as a starter. They wanted him to be a guy who would eat up innings, but it was more as a middle reliever instead of a guy who would be a starter. So that's kind of interesting. The next question we had on the outline, can the Dodgers win if Clayton Kershaw doesn't pitch? This is really quick. No.
The answer is no.
The Braves are now 11-30, second worst record in baseball. The Twins have the worst at 10-31 now. But it sounds ridiculous. They only have 2 wins at home. But each win until last night had been by a different pitcher, which was the first team to ever do that in the first 40 games of the season. Now Matt Wiesler has 2 wins. He leads the team in wins with 2, 41 games into the season.
It just makes me think of when we, the Baseball Beer BBQ team, went to the opening weekend for the Braves and sat there with the, 2/3 full for opening weekend?
Yeah.
When they played the Mets. It's like, man, Atlanta's an awful sports town. They deserve the Braves, and they'll deserve the god-awful Braves when they move north, and they're still the Atlanta Braves, even though they'll be like the north. Oh, good luck with that traffic. Oh, my God. Traffic north of Atlanta is like purgatory. A friend of mine said, it's like, Atlanta is where everyone goes through before they get to heaven. It's like, yeah, it is. On the interstates, it's awful. But, wow, how did and that's part of what makes sports wonderful is sports is cyclical. I mean, here are 2 teams who faced off against each other a couple decades ago in the World Series, and they are the 2 worst teams in baseball by far, the Twins and the Braves. Mm-hmm. And it made me think of let me think back to the 80s. Who were some of the best teams in the NBA? The Sixers, the Lakers, the Celtics. Who were the 3 teams who had the top 3 picks in the lottery? The Sixers, the Lakers, and the Celtics.
Lakers and Celtics.
My God.
Yeah.
What happened with that? So
the Celtics aren't that bad of a team now. I think they're mediocre, and it's just.
That's true. The Sixers are like 2 orders of magnitude worse than the Lakers.
They're worse because they don't seem to care. But that's a subject for a different day. So Ted, what's going on with Matt Harvey? A guy he just doesn't care, or he's having some injury issue?
You sound like every other caller on WFAN in New York. It's just nonstop on Mike Francesa's show. People are calling up, going crazy, losing their mind. Oh, my goodness, Matt Harvey, he's this, he's that. He's out there living the life. He thinks he's a star, and this guy has won 28 career games. I've said this before. They make him out to be Nolan Ryan. Okay, so what's wrong with Matt Harvey? What's I think it's all in his head. It's not the mechanics. It's not this. It's not the fact that he threw the 216 last year. You know, and you got Boris in one ear, Sandy Olson in the other. Listen, I think Terry's doing the right thing. Put him back out there. Put him back out there to the point where he's going to get it fixed, or we're one way or the other we're going to have to figure this out. I was at, thank goodness, last week's Mets and Nats series. I was at the first game, the game they actually won, because that game with Matt Harvey, oh my goodness, shelled. But hey, any way you look at it, 9 starts, 3-6 record, 5.77 ERA. He's given up 65 hits, walked 14 with 43 strikeouts in 48 and third inning. I think the guy's going to be okay. But you got to remember, last season he was 13-8. This is not a guy that's going to give you 20 to 25 wins. I mean, I think he's going to be okay. I think there would be an issue if his bullpen sessions, they were able to identify something. But he's meticulous in his bullpen sessions. So I think it's in his head. I think he just, and the fact that he's in New York. So this is going to be his make or break season, because after this, he's only under control for 2 more years.
And that's what I was going to say, Ted. A lot of it, I think, don't you think a lot of it is because he's in New York? I mean, after all, if he was in, I don't know, Toronto or something, or Kansas City or whatever, any place other than New York, he wouldn't be seen as this great star. He'd be seen as, he's a top-line pitcher, but don't you think part of it is just because he's a Met, and it's all the attention that comes from, it's the media capital of the world until Shanghai takes over. But, I think a lot of it, don't you think a lot of it is just because he's in New York, and maybe he wouldn't have these head issues if he was in, say, Kansas City, and it would be easier to figure it out, and he wouldn't have been this. He wouldn't be fed all this. Oh my God, everyone is talking about me on Twitter and Facebook, and I'm on the SportsCenter highlights and all this other crap.
There's a reason why Greinke didn't want to come to New York like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, oh yeah, especially a guy like Greinke, who has his own issues with that kind of stuff. It's amazing he ever went to Los Angeles, but yeah, New York's a different animal.
I just have to say, I have to say this much. Everyone is talking about Harvard. Every newspaper up here,
right?
Every local station talking about Matt Harvey. Okay, he hasn't been himself. He really hasn't been himself, to tell you the truth.
No.
Any of the others.
Yeah, clearly he hasn't been himself. It's and which again, that's baseball. Just a slight change in mechanics, and whether the guys notice it or not. Look at Scherzer. Scherzer was struggling earlier in the season, and they were talking about how his angle had dropped a little bit, and of course it was 2 starts after we talked about him, he throws can make a big difference. So yeah, he's not been himself, but. Yeah, there's no way they take him out of the rotation. It's just like when Verlander was struggling with my Tigers. I have to have a reason to mention the Tigers. And
Yes.
He's proven himself. Harvey, yeah. I mean, Harvey has proven himself. I'm not saying he's Verlander. Certainly not.
Oh, no.
But yeah, he has proven himself in the past, and you've got to give him the chance to work it out.
Hey, Ted, how many games have you seen this season live with the Mets?
So far, only 2. Because there was one.
Have they won both of those games?
Yes, they've won both those games. And
it's your fault. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to. I deal with liability every day. If you went to every game, every home game at least, the Mets would be undefeated. So do you feel bad about yourself as a human being because the Mets they're not struggling, but they've lost home games that if you showed up, they would have won?
That is true. The one game I actually purchased tickets for, but I was a little ill to go to, was the Bartolo Colon game, which I was dying to go to because it's the Bartman, it's Big Sexy. Hey, there was a really crazy article that came out in the New York Post about Big Sexy's second family, and I said, well, there's a reason why you call him Big Sexy.
So, hey, you said you were ill. Did they lose the game you couldn't see?
They won the game I couldn't see. It was against the Phils.
Okay. All right, because I was going to say, Jordan had a fever and scored 55. And, I mean, if your team doesn't win when you're supposed to be there, that's your fault.
Since they actually won that game, if you would just show up for all their games, they would be 30-11, Ted. So it is your fault.
Damn, Ted. You should feel bad about yourself as a human being, honestly.
I do.
I do. So a quick look at the stats. Daniel Murphy, who would have made the Mets unbeaten at this point, is batting .387 for the Washington Nationals. Some guy named Diaz is batting .373 for the Cardinals. In the American League, we have Jose Altuve batting .343. Guy is 4'3" because his strike zone is so small he gets on base. Jackie Bradley, with his 25-game hitting streak, is .340. Home runs, Mark Trumbo, who couldn't hit a home run for his life in Seattle, seems to have hit 13 for Baltimore. Robinson Cano has 12 for Seattle. And then over to the National League, Nolan Arenado, 14 home runs, and Chris Carter, former receiver for the Vikings, has 13 for the Brewers. So he's staying in that area.
Resurgence.
Yeah, it is. It's like he really loves that state.
He loves the Midwest.
Yeah, he does. Upper Midwest. So Robinson Cano has 37 RBI for the Mariners. He leads the American League. David Ortiz, little-known David Ortiz, 34. Must be a young guy. Anthony Rizzo has 34. Nolan Arenado has 34. Cespedes has 33. And do you feel like Cespedes has had a successful season so far, Ted?
13 home runs, 33 runs batted in. But what matters most is he has to – he can have these stats, these A-Rod-like stats, but it has to matter when people are on base and you're winning games. Both of the things the Mets aren't doing.
And Jake Arrieta, 8-0, big deal. Chris Sale is 9-0. He is actually one of the few pitchers to ever go 9-0 in his first 9 starts of the season. I wish I had the stats in front of me, but I don't. But anyway, yeah, it's the first guy since – is that who we talked about earlier,
yeah,
where
Sal
he
Maglia.
actually went Sal Maglia for the now defunct Tokyo Japanese team. So, only pitcher – currently on a major league.
They're not defunct. Thank you very
much. The Giants? Yeah, that's right.
Because they pull them out to fight Godzilla every 2 years.
So Chris Sale is 3 wins ahead of Price, Zimmerman, Tillman, Porcello, and a host of volunteers. So Steven it's an inside joke. So Steven Strasburg has 7 wins for the Nationals. Clayton Kershaw, who is the only guy. It's funny, the Dodgers are now 6-40 on the season. Clayton Kershaw 6-1. So AL earned run average, Chris Sale 158, Danny Salazar, who we may see in August, 1.8. He's a good pitcher. Jose Quintana would not keep this up, but he's 198. And Arrieta 129. Again, if Clayton Kershaw had not pitched 1 inning of this season, his ERA would be .88. But it is 1.67. He did. But he did. And then we go to saves, and who cares? And so wins above replacement, because it's funny because Jason Stark did a study, of the guys who had 30 saves or more on a current for a team that he is. Well, how do I put this? 30 saves or more in 2011. Of those guys, who do you think is on their team currently?
Zero.
So who cares?
That's why in fantasy baseball, that's why you pick up closers like in the 10th round.
Yeah, which
it's opportunities.
Yeah, Daniel, if you're listening, you have 5 closers on your fantasy team. I have an open spot on my closer roster because I'd rather have a starter. So AL wins above replacement. Jose Altuve 3.2. Adam Eaton, of all people, 3.0. I have no idea why Adam Eaton's 3.0. Nolan Arenado 2.4. And it's funny because we see Mike Trout 2.8, and we don't see Bryce Harper for some reason, but who knows how the season will go. Dexter Fowler is the best Cub ever at 2.2. So anyway, that's your stats. I'm looking to the standings, and we always make a point of the Cubs. Cubs are 5-5 in their last 10. Are the Cubs doomed for last place in the AL Central?
They're doomed. They're done. They're toast.
Okay.
They're finished. They're gonna wind up playing 80. They'll win 81 games, and they will be in last place in that division.
I can't do the math that fast, but yeah.
But it is odd that. Well, it's not odd really that they've dropped off some because I mean, what a crazy start.
Now they're only a 500 team.
In the past 10 games, they are a 500 team. You are correct.
You know what? You know one thing that was so sickening? I was leaving Citi Field Tuesday night, and everyone was talking about what you were texting Todd and I about, Lee. Oh my God, the Cubs are about to be no hit. You know, they were being no hit in 6 innings, and I'm looking at them like, you're at Citi Field. Why are you worried about the Cubs? Why is everyone so? I mean, ugh.
That's a good. Well, because I think there's been this stored up. I mean, we look at the Cubs. They're no Leicester City, who won the Premier League for the first time in 132 years this year. But I think there's a stored up energy for the Cubs for the last 115 years.
Yeah, really.
Was it 1908? So yeah, 108 years or whatever. So people are still living, and they're about 115 at this point, and there's a lot of hatred towards the Cubs. And I just want to say I never liked Harry Carey either. But the run differential for this season.
You hated Harry Carey. You hated Harry Carey.
I didn't like, or Skip. I don't like Skip.
I don't like Skip.
So,
but I like the old man.
So, because Skip beat me once in singles, that's why. So 113 plus 113 run differential for the Cubs. The Cardinals, who are in third place in that division, plus 51. Such a weird team.
Yeah.
The Giants, who are on a roll, they're 8-2 in their last 10. Guess what their run differential is? And they're 25-19.
17.
3. So that's just Dodgers are plus 12, and they're 3.5 back. So
again, that's baseball.
Yeah, it goes to show you what run differential really means. The Red Sox plus 55, they're a game back of the Orioles. We look to the AL West. The Mariners are plus 43, which is pretty good because they've had a couple of blowouts, and they're a game and a half up over the Rangers. Guess what the Rangers' run differential is?
67.
They're 23-19.
67.
Any guess, Ted?
22.
0. It's 0. They're break even for this point. And everybody else is negative. The Twins, the worst team in baseball, negative 74 run difference. Wow. Can't even say that with a straight face. Although the team that Todd and I are going to see tomorrow, we're not going to see the Cincinnati Reds. We're going to see the Seattle Mariners. The Reds are in last place. Now, check this out. 15-27, 15 back of the Cubs. Guess what their run differential is?
-3.
Any guess, Ted?
-8. -8.
They are -82. Now, so they have gotten their asses kicked when they've lost. I mean, they've gotten destroyed. -82 leads leads Major League Baseball, and they're only 12 games under 500.
Amazing.
That's that's the Mets. Amazing. So,
yeah.
Currently, no. I was laughing because you guys laughed, and I thought it was horrible. So, currently, the leaders of each division: the Giants over the Dodgers 3.5, the Cubs over the Pirates 6.5, the Nationals over the Phillies. Can't believe I'm saying that 2. Mariners over the Rangers, 1.5. The White Sox over the Indians, decent team, 1.5. And then the Orioles over the Red Sox by a game. So everything's still fairly tight unless you're in the NL Central. But you know that's probably going to tighten up over the whole season. So, Dummy of the Week. Let me find the Dummy of the Week promo. And this was Ted's idea, and we'll go with Ted did that. Exhale like he was Murphy. Murph, he did the Murph. He's so upset with us.
Just now?
Just now. Yeah. So anyway, here's our. Well, I don't want to play it, but when you did that,
it just got weird.
So our Dummy of the Week. I can't play it again. Here we go. Dummy of the Week.
You big dummy.
So Ted, who's your big dummy of the week?
My big dummy of the week is I'm looking at him in the mirror right now because I've been sitting here fighting with this MacBook because I refuse to take it into the Genius Bar because I have too much pride because I've been fixing computers not as long as CJ Computer Services, but almost as long, and this thing is just giving me a pain in the neck, so I'm going to give Dummy of the Week to myself. Thank you very much.
What's the issue with the MacBook?
It's audio issue. The audio input.
Oh, you mean like when you called in, you couldn't hear us?
Yeah.
Hear you?
Yeah. Right.
That's weird. How long have you had this MacBook?
I have had this MacBook, well, my signing bonus when I came on to sign with Happy Hour Network was,
okay.
what,
so
2013?
You paid out of pocket. Totally out of pocket.
It was gifted to me in 2013. You know, Jay-Z, when he signs artists, he gives them like the Rockefeller chains and all this other stuff. Lee and Todd sent me this whacked out MacBook. So, no, I've had it for about 3 years now. So I think I still think it's a little soon.
Yeah, I mean,
it start acting wonky.
You've used it for the show before, and right?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yes.
It's a new problem then.
It's a new problem, but it's under my skin, and I can't fix it. And I don't want to call CJ Computer Services 919-653. Todd, what are the last 4 digits?
If it's under your skin, Ted, you should call Frank Sinatra because he would definitely help with that. So my dummy of the week is Oklahoma State of Oklahoma, Governor Mary Fallon, who vetoed a bill on Friday that actually, she's my hero of the week. Let me rephrase that.
Yes.
The dummy of the week is the state legislature of Oklahoma because Governor Mary Fallon actually vetoed a bill on Friday that would have made it a felony for doctors to perform an abortion. Thank God there's a woman governor in Oklahoma because if we had had a male, it would probably be now a felony for doctors to perform an abortion in the state of Oklahoma. The legislation, according to NPR, which was the first of its kind, would have effectively eliminated abortion in the state. Oklahoma doesn't seem to be aware that there is a Constitution and a Supreme Court. But Fallon's office issued a press release saying she vetoed the bill because it was, quote, vague and would not withstand a criminal constitutional legal challenge. So the only person with a brain in the legislature of Oklahoma, at least partly, is Mary Fallon. So Mary Fallon, hero of the week, dummy of the week, Oklahoma's legislature.
Any relation between Mary and Jimmy?
No, she actually has an I. It's F-A-L-L-I-N instead of F-I.
Oh, okay.
Although Jimmy Fallon being the governor of Oklahoma would be hilarious.
Oh, my God, that would be lovely. I would move to Oklahoma for that.
I wouldn't move to Oklahoma, but I'd feel more secure about the state.
Oh, no, I'd move to Oklahoma if Jimmy Fallon was the governor because I would get a job with Jimmy Fallon.
And by the way, Patton Oswalt just elected governor of Alabama.
And okay,
oh,
I'll get that. But anyway, I have 3 dummies of the week, but they're all combined. A lot of rumors flying around about Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather Jr. Conor McGregor is the dummy. If he thinks he could actually survive 15 seconds in the ring with Floyd Mayweather Jr.
This would just be boxing straight up?
Yes, boxing.
Oh, yeah,
straight
that
up.
is stupid, yeah.
Floyd Mayweather Jr. is the dummy of the week for actually getting sucked into the Conor McGregor hype machine.
Well, he wants to make money, and he thinks there's some money to make. He's already talked about MMA stuff.
And it's just It's like, dude, you should know Conor McGregor, even as crazy as he is, he knows he would not survive in a boxing match, straight up. I mean, McGregor's a good boxer for MMA, and no, he is not a freaking boxer. There's a reason he's MMA, not boxing, let alone fighting someone like Mayweather. So, Mayweather, you're a fool for getting sucked into the hype machine. And the third dummy of the week is anybody who thinks this would ever come off. Because the last thing the McGregor needs is to get his ass kicked again on, worldwide global TV, and that would be an utter destruct. Actually, it would be fun to watch because it would be fun to watch Mayweather toy with him because he would probably keep him alive for about 5 rounds just to mess with his head.
He wouldn't knock him out. He would just wear McGregor out.
And show him what boxing really is. It's like, what a bunch of bullshit. And it's like, McGregor, just get your head straight and get back to fighting. They're like, come on, dude. The thing that pisses me off about McGregor is like moving up 2 weight classes, blah, blah, blah. He had an extremely tough fight in his last title defense. I mean, he won with strikes, but he was not winning that fight. So for him to act like he's a god and, there's no challenges, it's like, dude, ask Ronda Rousey if there's no challenges. Challenges will come up, dude. You just better be ready for them and just fight your own freaking weight class. Don't be a dipshit, although apparently looks like he's going to be fighting Nate in a rematch and blah, 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 whatever. But this whole crap about fighting Mayweather is like, I would not pay to see it, but I would laugh when I saw the highlight on YouTube when he collapsed. Like you said, he would just collapse, being worn out, going against Mayweather. So, multiple dummies of the week there.
Yeah, that wouldn't be pretty. I mean, to me, it would. That's not my doorbell.
Doorbell.
That was a perfect ending to Dummy of the Week. Bling, bling. So we're done. So anyway, Ted, is there a late night parent show on Wednesday?
We are kind of up in the air. I mean, I have enough footage for a show this week, but then I'm thinking about kind of probably not, and probably doing. You know what I probably will do? I won't do a full hour show. I'll probably do a 30-minute show because I have enough footage already ready to go in the queue.
And Todd and I will be at the Mariners-Reds game tomorrow, so if you get, again, bombarded by tweets from us about the Mariners from BBB and Lee Vowell, and maybe even from Seahawks Show, we apologize ahead of time. So, but that hopefully will be a good game. Wade Miley on the mound for the Mariners, Alfredo Simon for the Reds. Wade Miley works fast, so it could be a quick game.
Double no-hitter.
And on this date in baseball history, in 1929 was the fastest American League game ever. 1 hour, almost at a minute. 1 hour and 29 minutes. So, I don't think we're looking forward to that, but it could be, if Miley is effective, it could be a fairly